Plant vs Zombies Replanted is the Berlin Wall of the franchise. It's so polarising, it makes Battle For Neighborville look like the Equator. Steam reviews were initially overwhelmingly negative, but they have become more favourable over time, and most content creators hate it, though some are adamant defenders. In this video, I take a look at both sides, the good and the bad, with 5 for each. I'm Golden Ninja Vlogspot, please subscribe if you're new, leave a like, and let's get on to the first great thing. Support for modern consoles. The main reason games are remastered. New gen consoles get to experience the OG Plant vs Zombies on consoles it wasn't available on before. While the old console version is playable on Xbox One and Series X/S, this doesn't apply to the PlayStation. 1-0 to Microsoft. So PS5 players didn't get this luxury. The biggest one though is the Nintendo Switch, and the game has not been playable on a Nintendo platform since the DS port, and I'm biased as someone who bought the game on Switch. But the hybrid console is great for this, as it's like having an option to choose between the mobile and console ports, with efficiency of both touchscreen and controller functionality. As for PC, there's a strong argument that the original is the better option, but the modding potential is still there, and you know, yo ho ho. Overall, it's nice to be able to play a definitive version of the game on several different platforms. And the first bad thing, the price. The game is generally available for digital download at $20 or £18 in the UK. Now, this isn't bad on its own, especially with what Nintendo charge for their games nowadays, but how much is one of the most beloved ports, the Game of the Year edition? $5, and the console ports are much more than this. Really, the game should be 4 times as good to justify being quadruple the price, and it isn't. To give PopCap and EA some credit, which is a challenging feat nowadays, there's 0 microtransactions, which are present even on the old console version, but there's a reason why the remaster is often seen as a cash grab. The second great thing, the turbo button. Words can't fully convey how good this edition is. One of the most painful aspects of playing the original game is how slow it is. This may not be an issue for some players, but as a big fan of the sequel, the faster pace is much more desirable, plus the turbo button. And unlike the tomfoolery they pulled with the awfully treated mobile version, where you have to pay to access a fast forward button for a limited time, you get this from the beginning, and you can speed up the game by 1.5, 2 or even 2.5 with a pretty daunting skull icon for the latter. This is an excellent addition to fast forward through the tedious parts, and you're not forced to play the game at a faster speed, so this is objectively a big win. The second bad thing is the lack of new content. Going back to what I said about the price tag, the game should by rights have a lot of new exclusive content to justify the price. We get 3 things. The first is Rest in Peace mode, which is a permadeath challenge where you play through adventure, but if you lose a level once, you have to restart the whole thing, and you only get 1 lawnmower. Plant vs Zombies 3 would be proud. This is a decent addition, and the purple sky gives off a sense of impending doom, but it's a tad annoying that you essentially have to complete adventure 3 times when factoring in adventure 2. The second is Cloudy Day, but we'll talk more about that later. The third new feature is the bonus levels, which are just the limbo minigames which can be accessed from using Cheat Engine on PC. To be fair, I think this is a pretty stupid argument, as not everyone plays or wants to play on PC or wants to mod it. However, the argument I do agree with is that these games were scrapped from the final game for a reason, as most of them are boring. Can you dig it, Sunny Day, this rubbish art challenge? To be fair, there's some pretty decent ones such as Big Time, Unsodded and Low Gravity, but this feature as a whole feels half-assed, especially as there's no progress marker or diamonds obtained from beating them, and they cut the ice level too, which people weren't happy with. Overall, quite a lot of missed potential, especially since they brought back Versus mode, but didn't add an online mode, despite it being a video game in 2025. Why? Because I'm lazy! The third great thing is the level selector. One other thing that has always bothered me about the first game is that besides select ports, you can't replay whatever level you want. You want to play that fog level with dolphin riders and balloon zombies? Tough luck, you got to get through the whole of adventure to play it. This was catered for in the old paid mobile port, but there's a flaw here. You can only play the levels that introduce a zombie alongside the minigame and massive attack levels, so 4 levels from each stage are missing. Replanted has a simple level selector which highlights the adventure progression, however there is one issue. Once you beat adventure for the first time, the selector resets and you have to go through adventure 2 to re-unlock the levels. and then play them under Adventure 2 conditions with the 3 pre-selected plants. This feels like a big oversight, but at the same time, I'm grateful that the level selector exists, as even the most popular ports completely lack this. The third con of Replanted is the lack of console exclusive minigames. What a wasted opportunity this was. As well as Heavy Weapon, which was solely on the console ports, there's numerous minigames exclusive to the DS and DSi editions. Admittedly, some of these would be difficult to bring to other platforms as they make use of DS peripherals such as Heatwave, which requires the DS mic, and Home Run Derby, which uses the touchscreen, but others don't use any features that couldn't reasonably be ported to console, and I'm sure they could have worked around for the 2 that I mentioned. Hell, they could make Home Run Derby exclusive to Switch just so I can stick it to other platforms. And think how good the lower res games would look in HD. The silver lining to this is that the lack of Heavy Weapon means that its Raining Seeds is present on consoles for the first time, which is probably biased as it's my favourite minigame, but it really brings into question the tagline, Definitive Edition. The fourth great thing is the graphics. Okay, I know this is a hot take. At this point you've probably seen video essays of people nitpicking every single aspect of the visuals and throwing a hissy fit over Conehead Zombies' pupils being 2% smaller, but for my money, the game looks pretty damn good. There's a few gripes I do have, such as the much smaller shading for the plant sprites, but it's a minor thing. Of course, there were the comically oversized twin sunflower petals on launch, which is an inexplicable cock-up, and I do think the console version, specifically Xbox, looks a bit better, but as a standalone positive to Replanted, I think it's a nice looking HD port. Once you stop believing everything you read on the internet, you can learn to appreciate these graphics. For anyone who doesn't know, the only AI upscaling that made it to the final game is the zombie icons in the almanac, but those have since been replaced with hand-drawn sprites. And the next bad thing, it's easier. This is one that I don't think a lot of people know about. Some of you might be scratching your head wondering why or how Replanted is easier. You may have seen this video make the rounds in the PVZ community, and as much as I disagree with that extremely nitpicky video that barely took the time to mention the positives, Terra did demonstrate one really good point. The attacking speed of certain plants has been increased, meaning they can kill zombies quicker. I don't know how many plants are affected by this, but peashooter and fume stream definitely have been buffed to the point they can reliably kill coneheads, which didn't happen before, and starfruit has also been buffed significantly to the point it can one-shot a regular zombie at eating range. Furthermore, the conveyor belt moves much faster. Some people might not see the easier difficulty as a drawback, but if we're being honest with ourselves, PVZ1 is really easy, so why would they feel the need to make that game even more of a cakewalk? The final good thing is Cloudy Day. This is a brand new game mode where the sun goes in at set intervals, which disables sunflowers but halve the price and quicken the recharge of every seed packet, and on top of this, sunflowers only produce 15 sun, and the combination of 15 and 25 sun can fall from the sky. This is an excellent concept that forces the player to strategize, and there's 12 levels. I have no real complaints about this mode. I've heard people bemoan it for being repetitive, but let's be real, PVZ1 is repetitive anyway. Some people think they should have added some nighttime levels, but I don't think that would work mathematically, unless you want your sun shrooms to produce 5 sun. All in all, it's a good challenge for veterans. It's easily the game's best addition besides Timothy Turbo. And finally, we talk about the glitches. One of the focal points of criticism is just how screwy this game was upon launch, full of bugs that weren't present in the original. I'm just going to list some of them here. The turbo button speeding up the rate of the music, 8-bit zombies teleporting in Whack-a-Zombie and causing the loss of the level, no dynamic music, Dr. Zomboss's eyes turning blue when he uses the fireball, versus mode being a complete mess, Zen Garden rewards being collected before you finish using the implement. The majority of bugs have been patched and it's very playable, but it really begs the question of why they released the essentially unfinished game. It's reported that EA pressured PopCap with deadlines, so it ended up being a rush job. Reminds me of another game that was broken upon launch and is also cited by a portion of the fanbase as the game that killed the franchise. That's my list of Replanted's goods and bads. Is that a word? Let me know what you think of the game, though I'd advise you to get multiple viewpoints to avoid bias. Check out another video in this end screen. I've been GMVS, thanks for watching.